talk to Roy Ramm now. He's former commander of Specialist Operations at New Scotland Yard. A very good morning to you, Roy.
Hello, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, it's the most extraordinary story that has broken overnight, and this is a gang responsible, we believe, for exporting almost half of the mobile phones stolen on Britain Street has been dismantled in a sting operation. Roughly 300 officers smashed into 28 homes across London in the dead of the night to arrest pickpockets, robbers and others. And we are looking at two Afghan gang leaders thought to be responsible for shipping 40,000 stolen devices to China and Hong Kong, and basically being responsible for the majority of the huge phone theft epidemic we've seen not just across Britain but particularly in London. This is an extraordinary police operation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you know, at a time when the police are very much on the back foot, I think it's time to congratulate them. It is an extraordinary operation because it's got beneath the street crime, it's got beneath and beyond just these thugs on bikes stealing the phones, which is extremely dangerous, really harms people, but gets to the back of it and sees how much organised crime there is, and how how criminals have forged international links. These were all destined for Hong Kong, and as I understand it, they're making like £4,000 per phone because they are not constrained by the Chinese censorship. So they're very extremely valuable. Yeah. But the network that this is broken into, but by actually stepping back, taking intelligence-driven policing, is really to be applauded. Yes, it will make our streets a great deal safer, but it also disrupts really serious organised crime, and that money will flow back into other crime.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it is extraordinary that we have seen since 2020 almost tripling of the number of phones stolen in London, and 3/4 of all phones stolen in the UK are now taken in London. They're largely iPhones, and I know lots of people just don't get their phone out on the street because they're so fearful. I mean, our Mike Graham had his phone stolen from him in the street, and a copper walked by who's had his phone stolen. And there's been a massive increase in this. And this is, you say, because there is this big demand. It's not just, oh, great, we can unlock the phone, pass it on to someone else. These are, it would appear, shipped abroad on an industrial scale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought it was very interesting that the case was kind of begun by an iPhone loser tracking their own phone to Heathrow, and the police then finding, I think it was nearly 900 phones in a single package, and from there developing the inquiry to such a degree that you know what we're seeing now is an extremely successful police operation, and it will contribute to safety in places like Oxford Street, and we have to protect that. I mean, you know.
It's really important. Tourists think, oh, I don't want to go somewhere where there's going to be a load of phone snatchers, which there are, then people are going to be concerned about that. A lot of people watching and listening to this, though, will be very frustrated, though, that when they reported their phone stolen to the police did nothing. Again and again, I've seen reports of people saying, I've got a tracker on my phone, I've tracked my phone, it's in this house, and the police go, nothing we can do about it. The reality is they don't take enough action, and this wouldn't have been able to happen on such a scale if the police had acted sooner.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. And when I speak to senior police officers still, and their frustration is just resource.
That's rubbish. No, that's nonsense.
Hang on. We're looking at the number of officers who are being abstracted to deal with demonstrations. Okay. We're looking at a potential of 2,000 of the Met losing 2,000 officers and closing police stations to make a budget. You can't do everything all of the time. And you know, what's happened here has got to the heart of organised crime. And I think, you know, I'd love to see every one of these thugs brought into a police station. The men aren't there.
Yeah, well, you say the men aren't there, but again, the thing is, no one actually even bothers turning up to do it. But they are there when they need 6 people to go, you know, or 5 armed coppers to arrest Graham Linehan, who gets off a plane for a tweet that he's written in another country from months earlier. I mean, they do seem to have the police when they suddenly want the police, and this is a priority for people because people have the right to have a mobile phone in their hand, making a call or looking at directions, and walk along the streets in broad daylight in our capital city and elsewhere. And I've always said it was like my bag theft. You know, still not appeared in court. They don't know where he is and can't be bothered to find him. You know, these people, every day that they're not caught, are committing other crimes. And when they say there are so many crimes, we haven't got the resources, the reason why there are so many crimes is because people aren't arrested for committing these crimes, and so they're out and about committing 20 of them a day.
Look, let me be really clear about this. I want to see the Met and every police force in this country as proactive and as determined as possible. I don't think there's probably a senior officer in the country that wouldn't love to see no crime, hate crimes scratched off the agenda completely. It's an absolute nonsense and a distraction. But when you actually start to look at the amount of crime that officers are having to deal with and the amount of abstractions for public order offences, we are losing hundreds of thousands of policing days walking along protecting people in the street on public order events.
I mean, they're escorting people who have got, swastikas and on Israeli flags and not doing their job there either. I mean, these people don't need to be protected on a march, do they? These people, we need protection from them.
Well, the trouble is, I don't know if you've ever actually been on one. I
Yep.
have a few times, and I investigated the outcome of the poll tax riots, and I saw the number of police officers and injured people, injured police officers who suffered life-changing injuries there. So we can't relinquish the streets to demonstrators.
No, that is true. It's true. I'm going to have to leave it there. You probably hear the music there approaching. Roy Ramm, former commander of specialist operations at New Scotland Yard.